What's going on, guys? Happy Thursday. This is Matt Kowalis from SportsMemo and WagerTalk, back with the Thursday Night Football Best Bet. I'm dropping videos every day for the NBA and the NFL, so make sure to follow me at Moneyline Matt 8. I'll be posting these on Twitter and on the Detroit Sports Bettors YouTube. I will link that here as well. So if you want to follow those on either of those locations, would greatly appreciate that because we are hitting this all season long. The NFL picks have been rather hot as of late as well. We are 8-1-1 in our last 10 and are coming off a 2-1 Monday Night Football matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Las Vegas Raiders, as the Detroit Lions won outright in Detroit, baby. But as for the NBA, we're coming off a 1-3 day, not the best day ever, just a weird day kind of in general. For us, at least, Andrew Wiggins had 12 points at half, ends up at the hook with 14, can't get 3 points in the second half, so that sucked. And then as for the Los Angeles Lakers, that one was just my fault. I thought Kawhi Leonard or Paul George, one of them would miss at least. They both ended up playing. Lakers still won by 5, so it depends when you got that spread. But again, today is the bounce back day. It is Thursday Night Football, and we have the Tennessee Titans traveling on the road to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a -2.5 spread over on FanDuel. DraftKings, it's still at 3. I want that -2.5 because, well, obviously now I'm going with the Steelers. So that's -2.5 over on FanDuel. And then the total is at 37 at this point in time. And as for the handle, where the money is allocated, 56% on the Tennessee Titans, 44% going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And typically I don't do any over-under stuff. With this video, it is a spread pick, a player prop, and an anytime touchdown score, 3 picks every single week. But I want to give you some statistics that align with this over-under right now, just to put it out there. But before I do, I want to talk the injury report, give you all the news that you need. And with the injury report right now, the Tennessee Titans have Chris Hubbard out, the offensive tackle. Ryan Tannehill, quarterback, will be out. Roger McCreary, cornerback for the Titans as well. Mike Brown, defensive tackle. And then D-Hop is questionable. As for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Minkah Fitzpatrick is out, the safety for the Steelers. And then Levi Wallace, the defensive back, is questionable as well. Now, for this total, the number is 37, okay? Primetime unders in the last 4 years have hit at a 61% rate. This season, they are hitting at a 71% rate. And when that number is at 37 in the last 4 years, it has a record to the under of 21, 6, and 1. So a lot of numbers pointing to that under this week. I'm not sure where I'm going to go or if I'm going to touch that too, because to me, when you look at these two defenses with the Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers, they give up a lot of yards. They really do. These are not the two defenses of old. When you look at this, for one, the Tennessee Titans 20th in passing yards given up with 232. The Steelers are 24th with 245. As for their rushing defenses, Titans used to be one of the best. Now they're middle of the pack, 16th throughout the NFL, and are giving up 107 yards per game. As for the Steelers, they are one of the worst throughout the NFL, coming in at 27th, giving up 137 yards per game. So with that, there are a lot of yards to be taken in this matchup, and basically you're hoping that these defenses are going to hold strong in the red zone, holding the opposing team to field goals. And yes, I do understand that with Will Levis and Kenny Pickett, not the best quarterbacks in the world, you're going to expect some errant throws, maybe a couple turnovers and inopportune times. But for me, that's still a lot of yards. And, like teams with the Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers have some talent on the outside with guys like D-Hop, guys like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, guys who I think could potentially get in the end zone today. So for me, I'm going to leave that total alone, even though the analytics are pointing towards the under. And, we're just going to go with what we typically have. But I did want to give you that information so you can do with it what you will. But with the picks that I officially have, I am going to go with this Steelers -2.5. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers team who's coming off a home loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just a game they really couldn't get anything going. But this Titans team is not nearly as good as this Jacksonville Jaguars squad. The Jaguars, potentially one of the hottest teams in all of football. Mike Tomlin at home, I think he's able to get this Steelers team ready to roll. And in the last matchup, Kenny Pickett was knocked out. So then Mitchell Trubisky has to come in. And not either of the guys are, Joe Montana or anything like that. But Kenny Pickett is definitely better than Mitch Trubisky. So I think that sent that Steelers team back a little bit. And I think they're ready to respond against this Tennessee Titans team, who you can move the football on. And then in addition to that, when you're matching up these two quarterbacks, I loved what Will Levis did last week. He had a breakout game. He was throwing the ball down the field. He was taking some chances. Especially a guy like D-Hop. Sometimes you just got to throw that thing up. But now traveling on the road, that last week was at home in Tennessee. Now they're going to Pittsburgh, playing in Pittsburgh, primetime matchup. That's a tough spot for a rookie quarterback when you got guys like T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith coming after you off the edge. It's going to be interesting how he responds in the pocket, because as for the Atlanta Falcons, they're not getting to the quarterback like the Pittsburgh Steelers or creating turnovers, stuff like that. So for me, I do like this Pittsburgh Steelers -2.5. If you do like the Tennessee Titans with the 3, go on DraftKings or maybe PointsBet, something along those lines, and get that line you're looking for. But me personally, I like that -2.5. I don't want to be caught on that 3 line, so I'm going over to FanDuel for this one and play number 1, Steelers -2.5. Moving on to the player prop, and the player prop is also going to be coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it is going to be George Pickens. George Pickens over 53.5 yards here. And, George Pickens is coming off a 1 catch for 22 yards outing in their last week against the Jaguars. Really struggled to get it going, but he was inches away a couple times from actually hitting that prop line. He is their big play guy. He's the guy they try and stretch the field with. And a couple times his toes were just on that white line. And I think in this matchup, he has a better matchup against the Titans. I think he finds a way to get it going. This is a guy who has hit this number in 4 of 7 matchups this season. He's the top red zone target for the Pittsburgh Steelers on top of that. And, like I said earlier, this is a Tennessee Titans team who is 20th in passing yards given up per game. They get Kenny Pickett back. Kenny Pickett's number 1 guy is Pickens. So I'm going to be with George Pickens over 53.5 yards in this matchup. And then lastly, going to the anytime touchdown score. And guys, when you look at these totals, you got to understand when it's a 37-point total, your odds to score a touchdown are going to be that much less, okay? And that's why you're seeing all of the best odds is plus 155 Derrick Henry in this matchup. But one thing I want to tell you is both the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers are top 10 throughout the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. I think that's like 0.5 or 0.6, so very low odds in terms of rushing touchdowns given up per game. And for both of these teams, it's far more suitable to go through the air. I think if someone scores in this matchup, I would assume someone's going to score, but it's going to be through the air. And because of that, I'm going right back to George Pickens. We're double dipping with George Pickens in this matchup. He had a really bad outing against the Jaguars. Like I said, 1 catch for 22 yards, but he is the biggest red zone target for Kenny Pickett on top of that. So he's going to be looking for George Pickens in that red zone. Pickens is the guy who can go up and get it, toe tap in the back of the end zone, things of that nature. So again, I really do like the look of George Pickens here. It's a game in Pittsburgh. And again, like I said, I know there's yards to be had on the ground, but both these teams are very stout in the red zone. They're stacking the boxes. They're forcing the quarterback to beat you, make that throw. And I think it's going to happen with Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a quick slant over the middle or maybe a little fade. Pickens is one of the best fade wideouts throughout the NFL. So play number 3, George Pickens, anytime touchdown score. And to go over those one more time, tonight we are going to be with the Steelers -2.5. We're going to be with George Pickens over 53.5 and George Pickens with the double dip, anytime touchdown score. Hopefully we can just hit both of those in one play. That would be absolutely beautiful. Steelers cover as well. Let's get that sweep. 8-1-1 in our last 10, guys. I am Moneyline Matt 8 on Twitter. Make sure to follow me over there, dropping picks and plays every single day. But as always, guys, I appreciate you checking out the video. I am Matt Kowalis, and I am out. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.